Men and women just don't see money in the same way. I have made this experience with the hundreds and thousands of different clients, men and women I have worked with, who have told me their money story because they experienced money in completely different ways in their life. And I think there's several reasons that exactly explain why this is happening. Number one, women work on a completely different cycle from men. We work on a 28, 29-day cycle according to the moon. Our rhythm is linked to the cyclical nature of the moon, especially when we go through our periods and our menstrual cycles. Men tick on 24-hour cycles. Men work in the same way every single day in the rhythm, and that's how our system currently is built up. It is there to support men who tick over and over again in that system, whilst women who function in 28 or 29-day cycles completely differently react to every single day of their cycle depending on where they are in the 4 different phases. Now, if we don't take this into consideration, we don't know why women might be more volatile in their emotions and how they deal with money versus men. Men have a structured way of looking, this is my structure, this is the way I'm going to function, versus women who flow more. And if you start understanding your cycle as a woman, you also know when to optimize different decisions in your cycle and when to plan certain things in. All the women I coach, I always say, look at planning 15 to 25% of your cycle in the bigger picture according to where you are. Of course, you can't just throw everything out and say, I'm not going to work today and I'm going to work on another day and not see my clients for 1 week because of this or that of your cycle. No. But when I say 15 to 25%, it really means that during that time, you can honor the part of the cycle that you're in, and then also honor the decisions you'll make in a different way. You will look at your finances completely differently when you're maybe in a lower point or more emotional in your cycle than when you're ovulating and full force, really glowing and going out there. These different parts of the cycle bring up different characteristics within a woman, allowing her to make different decisions around money. Whereas men can be much more structured, women have more of a cyclical nature of working that's according to the moon cycle. Also, men are much more open to volatility and are much more open to, for example, taking risk, versus women who are a bit more stable in their decisions and the way they invest money. Sadly, the narrative in the media is something like 70% of all of the media is directed towards women for savings, and 90% is directed towards men for investing, which is completely crazy because it really sends the wrong message to men and women. Men in general are much bigger risk takers, but women have been proven to be better investors because they keep a stability over time. Men generally have been the hunters, going out there, taking risks, while the women have been back at home, taking care of their families. This is another reason why women deal completely differently with money than men. In general, men don't need the emotional reason behind money. They can have goals such as I want a new house, I want a car, I want different things in their lives that might be feeding another part of them. All of this is without judgment that I'm saying this, whereas women, I found, working with them, find it much harder to have financial goals, to really know what they want in the future, and oftentimes are in the dream space where we have to bring down these goals. Money doesn't excite women as much as it excites men who can buy those things. Women need that emotional bind behind money, and that's what I've seen through so many clients. They get excited when there's a reason, a deeper why behind it. On a side note, women are generally better investors than men because they look at more than just the financial returns, but also the impact of their investments. So once women determine the why behind what their money is going to be used for, they become these incredible powerhouses because the whys are often linked to intrinsic values, such as values that are important to them in their lives, family, community, nature, you name it. I have so many women who I work with who really care about impact investing, ESG. Impact investing is really about investing with impact, and ESG is environmental, social, and governance, driven by forces that are bigger than them. And so women deal completely differently with money than men. And I think that's an important thing to notice here. So number one, women work in a cyclical way. They make decisions completely differently. Number two, they need a reason for money. And I see this always. It's not about the egotistical material things that drive women. And I'm not saying that's just for men, but in general, women need that emotional part that really drives a better future for them, or the care of the environment or other things. And this therefore makes women also stronger and better investors because they take other measures except for profit into consideration. Many times it's said that if more money landed in the hands of women, it would make such a different impact in the world. And another point I really want to point out is why we deal with it differently on a deeper level is because women haven't been working in the economic system for such a long time. Some of our mothers, grandmothers, might have never had to deal with money. There's been clear roles in society where men have been going out to work, to earn the money, to bring that stability back home. And women have been doing more of the care jobs, such as taking care of the families, maybe taking care of the children, taking care of the home. The education around money has been completely different. Yes, today there's much more information out there for women, but in the past it has not been so. And so it's not as logical for women to deal with money, to set up businesses, to really fight for things in the world. In some countries, women haven't even been able to open bank accounts for themselves for until a couple of decades ago. In the US, I think it was even in the late 1900s that women's inheritance, if it came from her family, was going to her husband. She couldn't open up her own bank account. I heard in Japan, it wasn't until recently that women could really do it in certain areas there. So it's not even a long time that we've been able to handle money, open up our own accounts, and really it belonging to us. And I can do another video on this, but it's so important to realize that yes, we have a different understanding, and yes, there might be something deeper holding us back, which might be in the patterns of how we've dealt with money in the past through our ancestry. And so we're relearning and rewriting this narrative now. So yes, we do deal with money differently, but that doesn't mean that the story has to stay the same. And many things can change as we go forward, and many more women are getting empowered on their paths financially. I want to really encourage you through this video to know that it is possible for you as a woman to make the money you deserve and to work through the fact that you might be dealing with it differently, but that's okay. You might feel about it differently than your partner does, or men or others around you do, and that's okay. Really allow yourself to listen to those decisions and your intrinsic values that are driving you. And if you are a solopreneur and looking as a woman to really put your work into the world, I have a free checklist below for solopreneurs to hit financial peace of mind, and for you to really find that path to put your gifts into the world and make the money you deserve that is coming from your work. Knowing that it's the inner and outer work, giving you not only inner tools to transform these patterns that are keeping you where you are, but also the outer tools to make this happen in your reality. So if this video interested you and if you got a lot from it, please follow my channel to receive more, and I would really appreciate your support.